Thank you for joining us for the semifinals here of the Indianapolis Open. Matthias Hunt and Ryan Overturf in the booth here covering. We have the world #1, Owen Turtenwald, playing the Indianapolis Open. He won this event back in 2014. It's actually his 9th Open Series top 8. He has 2 wins. Trying to make a 3rd win here, playing 4-color rally to pair with his Grand Prix win in the last month. His opponent will be Andrew Funkhouser on the same deck. Andrew, knowing this one's going to be an uphill battle, going to try to beat Owen using his own strategy.
Does get the advantage of being on the play, though this is absolutely a high-pressure match for Funkhouser. Looked like Funkhouser thought really hard about keeping his hand and decided to keep it, and when he declared that, Owen's going ahead and taking a mulligan.
Jumpy Foo by the Denver Bronco shirt, Andrew Funkhouser, 28, making the trip from Tulsa, Oklahoma here for the Open. This is his first Open Series top 8 with us. 12-2, he was one of the 4 players who actually just got to draw the last round in the top 8. A dominant performance on the day.
Yeah, really a good start. Owen kind of fought his way in. We saw him pick up his 3 losses relatively on the low side.
Big event. Andrew, in his top 8 match, a 2-0 victory over Anthony Eason. And this is very impressive. So Eason was on Abs on aggro. Eason actually defeated Owen Turtenwald in the Swiss. Anthony Eason, the former U.S. Nationals team member, unable to take a game off Andrew. A surprising 2-0 victory has brought Andrew into the semifinals. So he's defeated one pro player only to run into an even bigger one here in the semis.
Right, and Andrew's excellent Swiss performance gave him the play against Eason. That definitely helped him conquer those anafenzas. Has the play again against Turtenwald, see if he can capitalize on that. We see Owen taking the mulligan. That's another advantage for Funkhouser. Probably feeling pretty good about this first game.
Well, I guess as good as you can when you're sitting across the table from Owen.
Right.
Owen will keep on 6. Here's a scry. So game 1 we've mentioned is going to be different than the other games. It's faster. There's less interaction. Owen scries to the top.
There won't be any dispels going on. You'll be able to just cast your companies as soon as you have access to them. So yeah, it's basically just a matter of how your creatures line up against your opponent's creatures and how many of them you can make.
Andrew will start on Evolving Wilds and go ahead and pass. Neither of these decks playing 1-drops. Well, nothing that you cast on turn 1 here.
Yeah, unlikely that we see a player just lead on 0 Force to DC's Faithful.
So Andrew will start on Swamp. For Owen, it was Island. So challenge 1 is that the players make their land drops and set up their mana. Now, the biggest play, is, at least in the first game, I think the turn 2 Jace, if you can have it and put it together, is the most important thing you can be doing.
Turn 2 Jace is huge. You'll definitely settle for turn 2 Visionary. Of course, you prefer the Jace.
Yeah, on the play, your Jace means that it's safe from Reflector Mage. Now, Anthony's going to fetch with Windswept Heath. It means he doesn't have the island, so we're probably looking at an Elvish Visionary here.
Right, it could be a Elvish Visionary, a Zulaport, Cutthroat, something not necessarily good as Jace. And what is interesting is with Swamp Forest, no matter what happens on turn 3, he won't be casting a Reflector Mage.
You're right, Reflector Mage is blue-white, so he can't actually get that one into play. He's going to play Elvish Visionary and draw, but it means that if Owen plays a turn 2 Jace, it'll actually be very difficult for Andrew to put that back in Owen's hand before he gets a loot off.
Right, and the gameplay for Funkhouser looks like it's going to end up being a turn 3 Catacomb Sifter, so he's just getting aggressive. We'll see how that lines up.
Yeah, with Evolving Wilds, there's not really a way for Andrew to get that dual land. If he wanted to have turn 3 Reflector Mage online, he'd have had to have not played the Visionary on 2.
Right.
Owen does have the turn 2 0-2 though, so first threat here is on Owen's side. It's a 0-2. Andrew is going to be pressed to answer.
He'll have a little bit of time before the Jace can flip, but of course Jace among the most important cards in this matchup.
On Andrew's 3rd turn. Looks like he does have a Catacomb Sifter at the ready, Collected Company in hand. Strong cards here. So Sifter will be the play. Rather than interacting and trying to keep Owen off his strategy, it looks like he's going to try to overpower it here.
Yeah, and with the Collected Company follow-up, assuming there's another land, or even if we just end up sacrificing the Scion, the next turn could potentially be very big for Funkhouser.
Yeah, I suppose one way to beat Jace is just if you make 2, 3 power, 4 power creatures every turn, it doesn't really matter that Owen's setting up a graveyard. It doesn't matter that he gets a Planeswalker.
Right, if we can pull ahead and just close the game out, then before Owen can overrun you with card advantage, then that's great. He'll be able to fire his Collected Company before Owen's able to do too terribly much.
Yeah. A loot here from Owen. He's contemplating the discard. 2 copies of Rally the Ancestors in hand. I'm not sure he'll need the second. You see him looking at some of his possible plays. He has Reflector Mage, Catacomb Sifter, and Elvish Visionary.
Yeah, I imagine that the play is Sifter just to kind of check Funkhouser's board here. The Reflector Mage wouldn't have been that great of a play.
Yeah, so this is interesting. Owen's going to discard the Reflector Mage. That's a card you normally really like in this matchup. And it looks like play Catacomb Sifter. So the read here is that he's putting the Sifter, he has those 2 rallies in hand, so he's actually trying to discard most of his good cards here so that he can go faster.
Right, get some kind of setup. And there's also just the fact that because Owen has Jace and Funkhouser doesn't, that means that for now, Funkhouser's Reflector Mages are worth more than Owen's.
Yeah, I mean, if this is Funkhouser's hoping for a short game here.
Right.
Note, though, Owen actually has no white sources in play. So despite those 2 rallies in hand, they're naturally 2 turns off. He's going to have to find another white source. So here's the play from Funkhouser, 4th land Collected Company, and this is the big one here. Top 6 cards, he gets 2 creatures. We're going to see what they are. He's hoping for something aggressive.
Reflector Mage to bounce Jace would be excellent.
And this is a huge miss for him. Not only does he not hit 2 creatures, he only hits 1, and it's not a lot of pressure. It's Zulaport Cutthroat.
Fine card to find. You want to find it eventually, but on this board is just not what he needs.
That's a game changer here. I like the line from Funkhouser. If that hits, say he hits a Reflector Mage and anything, maybe a Husk off it, he's a strong favorite to win this game. Now with only 1 creature, I don't know. We're going to have to see how this plays.
Yep, I like main phasing it there. He wants to try to get aggressive, but luck just was not on his side at that point.
We go back over to Turtenwald. His draw for the turn was Eily, Eternal Pilgrim. So with this, the fact that Jace gets to loot here, you see Owen discarding the Eily. Owen's stocking up his graveyard for these rallies that he has in hand. And as Andrew wasn't able to attack last turn, the tide may have turned. I believe Andrew has a 2nd Collected Company, so he might be able to try to play his aggressive plan a turn later.
Yeah, he has the option if he's able to company into Reflector Mage on the following turn. The Jace is still not flipped. Things are not over just yet, but there is more pressure now. Every turn the pressure builds a little bit more. The momentum shifts a little bit more in Owen's direction.
Yeah, Andrew attempted an attack last turn, which was pretty good. It fell short. Now he can try to mount a new attack the next turn. This one's 50-50 as to whether it works, even if he gets it going. Last turn, I think with the right flip there, Andrew was going to take it.
Right.
Now you see Owen is going to go ahead and play Catacomb Sifter, a 2nd one. He's getting his defenses up, getting scries to happen. We go back to Funkhouser. Rally the Ancestors was his draw.
Rally pretty far from being online on Funkhouser's side of the table.
Yeah, and that's where the Planeswalker is really helpful. So instead, we're going to try to win without the graveyard on Funkhouser's side. It's a 2nd Collected Company. Top 6 cards, 2 creatures. This one looks like a winner. Perhaps a big one.
Significant upgrades in these finds.
Reflector Mage, Jace, both options. I believe he has more as well.
Yeah,
so
I think there's 2 Reflector Mage and a Jace, so kind of seeing how you want to line that. I think for sure we're on Reflector Mage bouncing Jace. We're asking if we want to have our own Jace or if we want to try to bounce something else. Given this board, I'm inclined to take the Jace. There's nothing super exciting to bounce, and you're still a bit off of actually attacking.
Yeah, you got to get rid of this Jace because Owen is 1 piece away from completing the puzzle. If he finds Nantuko Husk, his rallies will likely win the game. So it's going to be Jace Reflector Mage for Funkhouser. We'll see what the target is. It will pick up that Planeswalker.
Yeah, really no question there.
But still no attacks. And now Andrew's played the game to a stall. He's behind on comboing, but his hand is better. If Owen can't make any progress, it's possible that Andrew actually becomes the combo player. So Owen's not going to let that happen on upkeep. He's going to make a colorless mana off Sifter, and now he gets 2 scries.
Yeah, so on Funkhouser's next turn, assuming Owen's not able to check the Jace, he will be able to flip that and cast Collected Company yet again. What we might see Owen do is cast Rally just to get that Reflector Mage back and put that off.
Owen scries to the top and draws. It's Nantuko Husk. That was his missing piece of the puzzle. Owen playing a game of finesse here. Funkhouser is playing one of power. Just if he plays enough collected companies, Funkhouser is seeing, maybe it doesn't matter what Owen's doing if he can just bowl him over with cards.
Right.
But Owen's at 17. He's been parrying so far.
Okay, so Owen played Husk that turn. He has Zulaport Cutthroat in hand. He's thinking a little bit bigger than just bouncing Jace. He's actually getting to the point where he can rally.
I think he can win next turn
for significant damage, right?
Yeah, if not win, he can do some serious damage. It's gonna be on Andrew to answer. So what he's gonna try to do, he's gonna loot with the Jace, flip it, go for a third collected company. And he's gonna have to hit big. 2 of the Reflector Mages are on the bottom of his deck. So he'd like to hit some combination of Faithfuls and Mages. It's going to be hard, though.
Discarded a Rally. He has 2 copies. The first one he casts is going to resolve. There's no Dispels in game 1, so the second copy pretty expendable.
On the other side of the bracket, Esper Dragons in the hands of Robert Wright takes the first game off Trevor Petrelli. So he is up 1-0 right now.
And no big surprises on Funkhouser's turn, using Jace to cast Collected Company one more time.
Well, he's got some great plays here. He does have a Reflector Mage. Ideally, he would, with that Zulaport Cutthroat in play, if he found Mage Nantuko Husk, it might actually be Funkhouser to combo first. He has found half of that. He's found Mage. He hasn't found Nantuko Husk. I believe there's an Eiley here, which in a pinch can do a Husk impersonation, but is not as strong.
It's a sacrifice outlet, albeit an inefficient one.
Yeah, the deck playing 1 copy of it in the main for both players. Kind of a nod that you need a 5th Husk, but you can only play 4, so
right.
It gets put in. But the rest of Andrew's board's strong enough that Eiley may be enough. But he's got to get these combo pieces off the board, and it's going to be hard to do.
There's a second copy of Zulaport Cutthroat in that stack. With that in play, it makes it a lot easier to close the game, so that's a strong consideration. As well as the Grim Haruspex, which can just draw a bunch of cards, and that's what he actually goes with.
Tough. So I like the Reflector Mage here. I'm not sold on the Grim Haruspex as a second card. He doesn't have a sacrifice outlet.
Right. By passing on that Eiley, he's just trying to find a way later to sacrifice creatures.
Yeah, so Reflector Mage is going to target Husk. Here's what Owen's going to do in response. First, he sacrifices the Elvish Visionary to scry twice. He likes the second card, and now he sacrifices the Husk. He doesn't want his cards in his hand. My thought is he's trying to scry to a white source for Rally.
I imagine that's what he's digging for here.
Yeah, and if he found it, then this is perfect for Owen. He can rally back the whole graveyard and do a lot of damage.
Still in value rally territory, though. It's Reflector Mage, Eiley, Elvish Visionary, and Nantuko Husk. That's not going to end up pushing the game too far in Owen's favor.
No, I mean, let's look at Andrew's board for a second here. Owen did keep the untapped white. He's got 2 Cutthroats. He's got a Grim Haruspex, and then 4 expendable creatures, including a Catacomb Sifter. If you add 1 Nantuko Husk to Andrew's board, this game's out of reach.
Right.
He's very close to just winning on the spot.
And if he spends a turn ticking Jace up, the next turn he'll be able to flashback Collected Company yet again.
Oh yeah, it'll be great.
Also, the top of his deck is live to help him out.
So powerful plays on Andrew's side if he gets, but we'll see what the board looks like when Andrew gets another turn.
Right.
Owen's going to do some damage. He did find the untapped white for Rally. His graveyard is Eiley, Husk, Visionary, Reflector Mage. The 2 Sifters in play. Owen can do a lot of damage, but he's got to be careful because Andrew can do more with the right draw.
Right. Outside of casting Value Rally here, Owen doesn't really have reasonable options, and given the odds that Funkhouser is able to generate a Nantuko Husk on the following turn, he's thinking about the best way for him to disrupt that.
Yeah, so Owen can rally here, but it's not strong enough. So you're saying he needs some Zulaport Cutthroats in play?
Yep, that would be huge.
Yeah.
He's also potentially thinking about if he value rallies and gets Reflector Mage, is there a target that he can bounce that will significantly disrupt Funkhouser?
All right, so Owen was not able to win it on that turn. He didn't have the Cutthroat as a piece for the combo. So now he's going to pass back to Andrew, and he's hoping he can disrupt Andrew, but he may not be able to.
No.
So Andrew's play to win here. Fetches for Sunken Hollow.
You kind of want to rally the Reflector Mage to one of these Cutthroats. That could buy you a full turn, but it's unclear if that's good enough or what the best window to do that in is.
So Sidisi's Faithful looks like the play for Andrew. He just has so much resource from all those collected companies. It's going to exploit itself, so he bounces Catacomb Sifter, draws a card, gains 2 life, Owen loses 2, and scries 1.
Sidisi's Faithful is getting a lot of boosts from the other cards in Funkhouser's table.
Right.
Very good right here.
With Faithful's triggers on the... So Faithful's in the graveyard. With those triggers on the stack, Owen's going to cast Rally. It's an interesting spot to time it.
Yeah. He wants to time that. So it's pretty clear from casting the Sidisi's Faithful here that Funkhouser does not yet have the Husk. He's trying to draw to something, and the big incentive of playing the Faithful there is the ability to scry and draw. So Owen's saying, well, I really don't want you to find it. I'm going to get one of those Cutthroats out of the table right now so I don't just die this turn.
So I think Owen rallied now so that he could sacrifice the Sifter in response to the Unsummon so he could get it in his graveyard.
Yep, that also is an upside rallying right here.
So 5 creatures into play for Owen. He draws a card off Visionary. He's going to sack it first so that he can scry 1 twice before drawing. We've seen this trick before, but nonetheless it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Makes a mana off the Scion to do the same.
Yep, just to scry a little bit more before that second Sifter leaves play.
Yeah, he scryed twice now. That means he should have 2 more scries to go. Is that right?
I'm not positive on that.
He has 2 Sifters. Oh, okay, there was no Scion in play. It wasn't sacrificed. It was... the Sifters weren't actually rallied back. So the judge said, hey, wait, there's no Scion.
Okay.
So those first 2 scries off the Visionary. Now it's 2 scries off the Reflector Mage. The Mage has already reflected a Zulaport Cutthroat. He's going to sacrifice a Sifter. That's only going to scry once then. I kind of thought we'd see the Eiley go. This is the Sifter that was being unsummoned.
Right.
So Owen will get to keep his 2/3 in play. And now he draws the card off Elvish Visionary after all is said and done here.
The card he ended up picking up was a Catacomb Sifter, so didn't quite get to what he wanted there.
What do you think it is that he wanted?
It's unclear just how Owen is actually able to win this game. Chaining Rallies is his highest value play.
But he just doesn't have the Cutthroat.
Right. Finding one of those would be excellent.
Yeah, so maybe he needs to take a turn off from rallying to find Cutthroats and then start again. I know that's probably not going to work.
Right.
Jace pluses to 3 on Andrew's side. He's going to play another Jace on his side of the table. 3 cards in hand. We'll see. Yeah, it's just a pass of the turn for Andrew. So Andrew, with all the resources in play, doesn't have everything he could hope for. So Eiley will be sacrificed to Husk. This is on upkeep. Owen doesn't want his creatures getting exiled.
Right.
Sifter is going to be sacrificed to Husk, and Husk sacrificed to itself. So Owen's going to bin the entire board and draw off the top. Makes you think he's got another rally in hand or something.
Something like that.
He's got a Zulaport Cutthroat in hand. I don't think he hit a land, but maybe that's what he wanted to hit. My guess is if he hits lands, he can play lands and keep chaining rallies every turn. It's a thing.
Yeah, his options on this turn are to just cast 2 creatures and hope for the best, or to go for rally, of which you know has an amount of value that is less than you need to actually win the game.
Yeah, he's in a hard spot. He tried to play this finesse game, but Andrew just has the more powerful board at this point. And then in trying to close out, Owen has certainly lost value here. So here's a rally for 3. Everybody's back in play again. He's going to get all these triggers. What I'm curious is, what is Owen looking for now? I guess this rally nets him mana, and that's relevant.
Yeah, he'll have those Scions floating around.
Right.
Also has a board that will stop Funkhouser from getting through in combat at all on the following turn, gain some life that way. And we saw the Reflector Mage bounce the second copy of Zulaport Cutthroat, so no risk of getting comboed with the Cutthroat triggers.
Yeah, heads up play here for Owen. He's trying to take away Funkhouser's ability to win immediately. So another Reflector Mage gone there. Owen's going to put the draw trigger on the stack, and he's going to start scrying again. And with this many creatures, he should be able to just about pick his draw.
Right. Of course, on Funkhouser's side, last turn the Jace ticked up to 3 loyalty. That'll be able to flash back and make a collected company, and the new copy of Jace that he has hanging out will be able to turn into a Planeswalker. So Owen's still facing down.
Is that another company? Does he have 2 in his yard?
I believe there are still 2 copies in the graveyard.
And he has 6 mana. Well, I mean, if he finds enough Catacomb Sifters, maybe he could cast them both.
Yeah.
So Owen, the card he chose to scry to the top was a land. So it's clear that while he's chaining these rallies, he's trying to press mana advantage.
Yeah, and finding the land here, he's also able to just cast the Zulaport Cutthroat in his hand and start triggering that.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, he found the black mana for the land, so he was trying to scry to a black source. This is some great magic here on Owen's side. All right, so first Scion sacks for colorless, and it's going to scry 1 twice. No, this is great. Owen, I don't think he can win from here, but this really matters.
Yeah.
Here's Zulaport Cutthroat, so Owen manages to get one into play. And Funkhouser's going to rally. This is a rally for 1. What?
Ooh, I like this a lot.
This is a great play. Okay, so just the 1 Faithful will come into play. It'll exploit to itself. Oh, Funkhouser gets all the triggers, so he gets the scry and the draw. He's trying to unsummon the Nantuko Husk before that Cutthroat hits the board.
Before the Cutthroat's in play, also forces Owen to sacrifice everything to the Husk. He does not want to be exiled to rally, so that...
Yeah, so he doesn't get any of the drains here.
None of the drains, and also Funkhouser has a clear line to do some damage in the combat step on his turn.
So at this point, Owen's he's got to try to find another rally, right?
Yeah, it's rally or bust now.
Yeah, you see him sacking all his creatures, scrying twice a lot of times. Okay, now the Cutthroat resolves. Confirm here as to what's happening. Okay, so the Zulaport Cutthroat's still not in play yet. It's still on the stack then.
Yeah, so the logical arrangement here is Owen has the Scion and the Cutthroat set aside because those are the creatures he gets to not exile on his upkeep.
Okay, that makes sense. Sifter scries a card to the bottom. He's going to sack the other Sifter. And so that rally for 1 by Andrew meant that Owen sacrificed his whole team for fear of losing them.
Right.
I suppose the other play he could have made was he could have kept the board in play and then used Eiley to sacrifice the whole team with mana next turn. He'd gain a ton of life, but then he wouldn't get anything else to do.
Right.
Probably just not a play he can make.
And he knows that Funkhouser is hanging out with 2 Zulaport Cutthroats, and you just might find yourself dead even with that much life gain.
So he passes over to Andrew's turn. We go back there. Andrew gets a 7th land. Remember, he has 2 Cutthroats in hand, but he cannot cast either of them because of Reflector Mage. That's pretty relevant here.
Right.
Looks like Funkhouser preparing some collected company mana. His hand, I believe, 3 Zulaport Cutthroats.
Oh, geez.
Jace, -3. It's off the board. Here comes another company. More raw power for the engine here for Funkhouser. A flip from Jace on Funkhouser's side. Flashback that rally the ancestors. Here we go. Spin it again. Still looking for that Nantuko Husk to complete the puzzle. I think he's found, yeah, Husk and Reflector Mage.
Yep, the Mage will be able to clean up this board for a little more damage in combat this turn.
A bigger deal is Owen's Cutthroat now back in his hand.
Right.
Can't cast it next turn. And there's going to be some real damage on Andrew's side. He's got 10 power in play. Owen's at 3. It's not lethal this turn, but it sure is close. The question is whether or not Owen can do anything next turn. He won't, because he won't have that Zulaport Cutthroat.
Right. It's not lethal this turn, but Owen needs to figure out
Yeah.
something before Funkhouser's next turn, because it sure will be then.
Jace shrinks down the Scion, and Andrew swings the team. It's 10 points of damage. Will Owen go to 3? And he'll go lower than that. Game 1 goes over to Andrew Funkhouser. He pulls it out there, and he's up a game over Owen Turtenwald.
Yeah, we saw Owen pull ahead on Jace that game, but Funkhouser says, okay, listen, I'm the guy with Collected Company.
Yeah, how many can you beat, right?
Right. I'm just going to cast this card, and I'm going to cast it again, and I'm going to cast it again. Sure, my first one wasn't very good,
Wow.
but every one after that was excellent.
A display of raw power on Andrew's side, and he is up a game. So we move over to the sideboard. You got to see the smile on his face. Can he pull it off again? 1 game away from the finals. We go over to the sideboards between the two players. They are nearly identical. So in general, what we're looking for here is, I know post-board these players go toward Dispel. We have to counter those rallies in Collected Companies. There is one Anafenza the foremost on Andrew's side. Owen doesn't have one. That'll be a slight advantage to Andrew. Anything else we like?
This is the excellent advantage of playing face-up in the top 8, is Owen knows there's just one Anafenza. No reason to go nuts on murderous cuts. Game plan probably just to Reflector Mage that back to the hand. For Funkhouser, you'll of course bring that 1 copy in, but mostly these guys are just going to be dispelling the big plays.
Yeah, so just the murderous. Well, yeah, do you want any murderous cuts here then for Anafenza, or no?
You could bring in one. It is also an out to Jace in some situations. It's a reasonable card, but I don't think I'd be happy having more than 1 copy in my deck.
Yeah, certainly seems that way. Players are getting ready here for game 2. A real marathon game 1. Owen on the back foot the whole time, trying to come back.
Yeah, it was really impressive, Funkhouser playing a game against Owen Turtenwald, a long game and coming out on top. Very superbly navigated.
So this is our last open here of before Shadows over Innistrad comes out. Rally, only fitting that we see so many rally decks here. One of them is going to be in the finals. It truly, after Oath of the Gatewatch, became the best deck of the format. Both Owen, of course, with lots of success with the deck. Andrew looking to put his own stamp on it before things are out. Shadows over Innistrad promos started this week. If you want some glimpse of the new cards and that, if you're anything like me, you've been brewing a lot of things. You're excited to play with the new cards. We have our first big tournament after that rotation. It's going to be the state and provincial championships. That happens April 23rd and 24th. They're happening all across the country. So 62 locations across the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico. We have a pair of tournaments for you to play these new cards in. So on Saturday, we are going to have our standard state championships. And on Sunday, we have the modern state championships. So your 2 mainstay formats, you can get your thinking cap on and come out with your best strategy. Some things to look forward to. There's medals, playmats, pins for showing up at the top 8. The past city playmat is given away to players top 8ing the standard one, whereas the future city playmat for the modern top 8. So you get these exclusive arts for the event as well. Of course, medal and an invite to the players, the invitational will be given out to the winner of that. In addition, for showing up, we have the art prints of those 2 cities, along with them being customized for your state, given away as door prizes. So a lot to look forward to here at our state championships. Of course, you can find out more at starcitygames.com/states. Back to our match, though. Owen Turtenwald finds himself down a game to Andrew Funkhouser.
Yep, so he'll get to be on the play for game 2, though once again has to send his hand back.
Yeah, both players going to go to 6 this time. Owen was on a mulligan that first time, though, to be fair, when he landed the turn 2 Jace to Andrew's Visionary, the mulligan really stopped mattering.
Yeah, didn't hurt him too much in the game. The deck can definitely mulligan. With the Jaces and the Visionaries, you draw extra cards. Once you get a mana to cast Collected Company, you're technically 2 spelling starting on turn 4.
So, if you look at that game we played out game 1, and you give Owen that same advantage, post-board, when players have Dispels, I feel like you're more equipped to play this counter-punching game plan that Owen was on.
Right. Inevitably, with the Jaces that ended up lining up for Funkhouser, you'd potentially be able to just play enough Collected Company where you wouldn't be able to get Dispelled, but it's also just possible that 1 or 2 early Dispels stop Funkhouser from ever being in that game.
Yeah, the fact that those are all green-lighted game 1, you just know they're resolving. it's very easy to keep a hand of lands and multiple collected companies game one and be pretty fearless about it.
Right. And in game two, you're spending a good number of turns where you just cast a 3-drop instead of collected company because getting dispelled on that turn would be too bad.
Owen going down to 5. Andrew keeping on 6. Prime opportunity here for Andrew. He's been +1 card on Owen for each game.
Yeah. Also on the draw here, that'll give him another card, though tempo advantage to Owen.
Well, it puts a lot of pressure on Owen to find cards like Collected Company. Down 2 cards in this mirror is not free.
Right.
Some updates from across the bracket. We have our first finalist. And I'll tell you what, it's not going to be a rally mirror in the final. Robert Wright, a 2-0 victory over Trevor Petrelli. He is awaiting the winner. So Robert on Esper Dragons defeated Ray Perez in the top 8 in a control mirror match. Now takes care of Rally 2-0 quickly. He knows he can play against Rally in the finals. If he can repeat that, he'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, you know, no dispels on the 75, but Salumgar's score, and I guess showing that that's still a card that we maybe should be more strongly considering casting in the standard.
I don't know. The loss of Dig Through Time is going to be pretty big for that deck.
Oh, yeah, but, you know, this weekend.
This weekend is great. I was actually looking at it because they're all Dragons of Tarkir cards for the most part. So I was saying, hey, maybe this is fine. Maybe we can just play that post rotation. So wait, we're losing Dig Through Time.
You can still cast Painful Truths.
Great hand here for Owen on 5. And by that, I mean he has 2 lands and a Jace. So it's probably a keep.
Yep, and with Funkhouser on the draw, won't have a window until Jace can be activated on Owen's side to Reflector Mage it.
Canopy Vista the draw for Owen. He can make a turn 2 Jace, but if he wants to do it off this Flooded Strand, it will strand him off of black mana.
I see what you did.
Yeah, you know. Well, I guess he's going to have to be stranded one way or the other.
It wouldn't be so much of a problem if he was flooded, but he has to choose which lands he wants to play.
Well, yeah, a fetch land, you only get half of it.
Right.
So he's going to go ahead and get the island, go for the turn 2 Planeswalker. He'll figure out the mana situation later on.
I like the play here. Jace is going to help you develop your mana by drawing extra cards, so getting in a play on turn 2 is going to matter a lot.
Does have a possibility of a turn 3 Reflector Mage. His hand is, oh, not many cards, of course. It's Canopy Vista, Reflector Mage, Nantuko Husk.
Yep, no sign of a black source just yet.
So Funkhouser end step will fetch for Canopy Vista.
Would be a good turn of events for Owen if Andrew had a turn 2 Jace and Owen peeled a land or Reflector Mage it.
Peel the basic swamp.
Right, yeah, basic swamp is literal perfects here.
Maybe not literal perfect. A perfect would probably be fetch land for basic swamp.
It's true, yeah, builds up the graveyard.
As long as we're picking what we draw, why don't we just pick the best?
It does cost a life.
He'll manage. For Andrew, he's got a pretty workable draw of his own, though, swiping down onto 6 cards. Looks like he'll match Owen's turn 2 Jace this game. No Elvish Visionaries this time.
Now the pressure's on Owen to find an untapped land here.
Yeah, you're worried if he doesn't that Andrew just reflectors Owen's Jace, and then Andrew will be ahead on board and cards.
Things could get really bad for Owen really fast.
All right, so here's Jace on Andrew's side. We see the 2 Planeswalkers staring against each other. Owen's, we'll see what his draw is. He loots with the Jace, finds Zulaport Cutthroat.
Funkhouser correctly putting his creatures in front of his lands where they belong.
And Evolving Wilds was the find for Owen. He'll play that. It was almost the basic swamp he wanted.
Yeah, you started talking about fetch lands and you jinxed him.
Yeah,
gave him a tapped one.
It's a fetch land for the basic swamp. That's what we said. Danger spot for Owen.
Yes.
There's a Reflector Mage in Andrew's hand, but plus Andrew missed the 3rd land drop, and that's a window for Owen to work with. He finds the land off the loot. It's a Sunken Hollow. It's into play tapped. All right, Owen's still playing. Had Andrew found the untapped land, I think, and reflected there, I don't know. Andrew might win it in a romp. But
yeah.
Not to say Owen's out of the woods. Andrew's hand's strong.
Definitely.
But
and Owen, without a fetch land, won't be able to flip Jace on this turn, and Andrew does have access to the Reflector Mage on the following turn.
If Owen can find a Collected Company here or next card, though, he's got the untapped green. So here's a loot. Can he find it? No, Evolving Wilds is the draw. Have to settle for Reflector Mage, I suppose. And discard a second Zulaport Cutthroat. So the graveyard getting pretty juicy for a Rally the Ancestors.
Yeah, he has that Nantuko Husk in hand, so just wants to develop his board for a little bit, gets the Husk in play in some time over the next couple of turns, and then Rally to get the Cutthroats back.
All right, so here's the play. Reflector Mage puts Jace back in Andrew's hand, and Owen plays the Evolving Wilds. Well, Andrew will repay the favor. He'll put Owen's Jace in his hand, but the downside is Andrew misses land 4. And despite the mulligan, it seems like Owen has equalized now.
Yeah.
It's both players are going to have lots of cards in hand because of this Reflector Mage war. So the fact that Andrew is plus, 2 cards, maybe that'll matter turns down the road. But on the board, I think the fact that Owen has all colors and 4 lands makes him a slight favorite.
If Owen peels Collected Company here, that would turn things around really quickly. Bricks and finds a fetch land.
Yeah, nothing yet for Owen. So he will play, it looks like, the Nantuko Husk. You're right, Owen is at danger of just not drawing the right cards here. His hand is fairly light on everything.
Right. And now in these turns, if Funkhouser is able to find a Dispel, it's going to be very hard for Owen to claw back into this game, even with the Collected Company.
Yeah, if the game goes long enough that both players can just play out their hands at a natural pace, Andrew does have more cards. That'll help.
Right.
Andrew on his turn, despite missing the land 4 last turn, he finds at this time it's Windswept Heath. He finds a basic Plains. And now he'll get to play 2 mana worth of spells.
Yeah, so even though there were awkward starts for both players, the pressure is significantly higher on Owen to find the right cards faster.
So here's Elvish Visionary. Andrew will start there. And his Jace is no longer reflected, so he'll try for it again. 4 cards in graveyard, it's threatening to Planeswalk.
More bad news on the Turtenwald front. Funkhouser has another Reflector Mage in hand for when Owen casts his Jace on this turn.
Yeah, it's not even clear that Collected Company off the top here for Owen wins or, gets him ahead. It certainly is a draw that he needs to hit.
Right. But he's just generally in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he needs to hit it to keep pace, not hit it to win. This draw here, Rally the Ancestors. So is there another line Owen can take? He's got 2 Zulaport Cutthroats in his graveyard. Let's stop trying to win the card advantage war. With Husk in play and 2 Cutthroats in the graveyard, can Owen just go aggressive?
So it is an interesting line. You're able to drain a lot of life from Funkhouser, but you don't have a Catacomb Sifter, you don't have a Grim Haruspex. It's just a one-time effect. The Rally's exiled. It just doesn't do enough.
I love this attack from Owen, so he's trying to just sneak in extra damage. He swings his pair of 2/3s. If Andrew takes this, he could just lose. So Owen could play Jace. There's a chance, he has enough mana to play a Jace, rally, sack the team, rally the team, rally for 2, get back creatures. It's not enough, but it's close.
I think that the flavor text on Elvish Visionary is chump block with this one. You're just very happy to throw this in front of creatures. I can't imagine both of those are sticking around through this combat.
Well, I'm wondering if he's putting both in front of Husk to actually get a card from Owen.
Yeah, you would force Owen to either lose the Husk or sacrifice the Reflector Mage.
So it looks like Andrew's going to double block the Reflector Mage and single block the Husk. So Owen will just let this resolve. So the Reflector Mage ends up trading for both Visionaries. Here's Jace on Owen's side. Will he play the land? He wants a card in hand to loot away, but playing the land leaves him rally for 2. This is actually an interesting choice. You see Owen actually using some decision-making on it.
Yeah, you leave up rally for 2 and you represent the Collected Company that you don't have.
Yeah, here's the rally for 2. He'll play the land.
On this turn, though, Funkhouser is going to be able to flip his Jace and to bounce Owen's.
This turn's going to be a beating for Owen, for sure. I think Owen just sacks the Jace in response. Are we there yet?
With the rally in hand, I think we are.
So if Andrew doesn't actually have a Dispel in hand, he could lose this game. Once he finds a Dispel, I think he locks it up.
Yeah.
And he may have. There's a blue card in hand. I don't know if it's Jace or Dispel.
Yeah, I saw a simple-ish looking bluish card.
Yeah, it's that middle one there.
Yeah.
I'm not certain. I guess we'll find out when Owen goes for the rally.
Every flicker of it I get, I'm at like 45% that this is a dispel.
I agree.
I'm at like 80.
I think now it's yeah.
I'm
yeah,
at like
it's a dispel.
100% that this is a dispel.
So Owen's gonna have to fight through that. That is no easy task for him. Jace flips, 5 counters on it, discarding another Jace. I mean, Owen's got to hope that Andrew takes down Dispel mana. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, it's just very unlikely there's a reason to do that in the near future.
Well, Owen could draw his own Dispel, and then suddenly this works again. So, whoa, okay, play on Andrew's side. He plays Husk. He's going to let Owen untap with the whole board.
It's a curious line to take.
I don't like this one at all, because now when Owen can go for the rally, if it gets countered, it's in his graveyard. He has a flipped Jace. Maybe we're okay.
Yeah, I definitely would have gone for the Reflector Mage this turn. Funkhouser has that Husk.
That's going to cost him.
You know, if he has like a Catacomb Sifter, he can put bodies on the board enough to attack and kill the Jace.
I don't know. This is tough. So anyway, Owen's going to seize the moment. He loots. He draws an Antuco Husk. He's got to assume Andrew's leaving up a counterspell. If I'm Owen, this line makes no sense if there's no counterspell. Your rally's not resolving, et cetera, et cetera. Question then, if you're Owen, is how do you play around it? He's going to discard the land and flip the Jace. Rally costs 5 here. So, as it stands, in the yard, we have Reflector Mage, Cutthroat, Cutthroat. So Owen's just going to play Nantuko Husk.
Yeah, the rally is still not a very exciting line.
Plus it on Andrew's Husk.
Typically when you value rally, it's to draw and scry. Plucking away at life points, not huge.
Owen's Husk was a 0-2. It's why I didn't see the swing there. Rally and Reflector Mage in Andrew's hand. I don't think the Reflector Mage matters as much now that Owen has his own Husk in play.
Yeah, it's significantly worse on this turn than it was last turn.
You wonder whether Andrew just goes for his own rally, stops trying to play defense, just goes on offense. Second Reflector Mage to bounce Husk. Owen's going to sack in response.
Yep.
His guy's now a 4-4. Does Andrew have another one? Still leaving up that Dispel. Here's Jace. If Owen can top deck a Dispel this turn,
that'd be a huge swing.
I think he wins the game. It's very close. Maybe not straight wins. It's really close. Hold on. Yeah, now you have to get out and start counting, right?
So there's a Husk, a Mage, and 2 Cutthroats. So that would be 5 creatures total, but...
Yeah, no help. Owen draws a fetch.
Yeah.
It's land flooded here. It's not going to help him at all. Yeah. Owen had some extra looks at cards here. Andrew's going to close. I think he's closing a little slower than he has to, but it's given Owen a couple extra draws, but Owen did not convert.
Yeah. The turn when the Jace just wasn't Reflector Mage, when Funkhouser played that Antuco Husk, I think that was a misstep, but it's not costing him anything now that the game has advanced this much.
Well, we'll see who Andrew attacks. If Andrew's going to go for the Planeswalker or go for Owen. He's going to tap to loot with Jace. This is a nice little trick. And sacrifice it to Antuco Husk before it transforms. Finds another Dispel. So his hand now with multiple Dispels should be set to play defense. Husk getting real big
Husk
here.
is going to get giant. He's going to rally, get Reflector Mage back, bounce the Husk on Turtenwald's side. Turtenwald's going to be forced to rally to try to block. Funkhouser will dispel it, and that's going to be the game and the match.
Rally for 3 here. Owen rallying in response. And yeah, he knows 2 Dispels in Funkhouser.
Jeez.
You can only cast one of them. Owen's probably going to let, he's the player, he'll let him know that right now.
Yeah.
You only have enough mana.
By the way, I had a backup.
And that will be the match. Andrew Funkhouser 2-0 defeats Owen Turtenwald and moves on to the finals.
Yeah, you know, there was just that one misstep with the Reflector Mage, but Owen not able to capitalize. The mold of 5, very punishing. Even with the Jace, couldn't pull it out.
Yeah, and some